rolling.
So,
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Go.
Welcome to the S&B podcast.
Hello.
Hey. I'm Trevor Swenson.
I'm Adam Bantz.
We are here today with Kevin Lyman and Darren Pheifer. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Feeling good.
What's new in the quarantine world with you guys?
Nothing much. Staying at home as much as humanly possible, trying to stay active without going out, trying to stay sane when you're drowning in a pool of negativity, which we all are. Just trying to remain positive that we're going to come out this better as people and as an industry.
I agree.
I think we are.
I mean, on my end, it's been interesting because it's like so many people. You're trying and you have to keep moving forward. So you're kind of trying a lot of different things. You know, if you were just driven by finances, it's probably not a great time. But it's kind of a great time to kind of try new things, slow down and learn new things. And then, you know, I tell a lot of people that it's not about, you can't, it's really almost, you can think about the future every day, but it's really hard. You can't make any concrete plans. And I know in a world that we have so many concrete plans, that we have deadlines and times and dates and things, it's really weird because a lot of times you're talking about, you know, I kind of almost like a form of suspended animation. We all got here for the same reason. COVID is driving this point, but we're all going through it in our own way, but kind of parallel to each other in a suspended animation because so much would be happening. It is happening, but when it's going to happen, we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, people are trying to stir up a lot of new things. So, I mean, it's interesting to see all the new businesses that are popping up and obviously all the businesses that are failing and the fact that the commercial real estate is just gone these days. So it'll be interesting to see how it all comes out.
There's a lot of different things, though. There's, you know, when this all first started happening, and we're all sitting here in the music industry because we're all heavily involved with it, trying to figure out when touring's going to happen next, and then listening to so many people talking about, oh, well, I think this is going to happen. And nobody can predict anything. No one can sit.
Bands are having to find ways to get creative. Dropkick Murphys did a couple viral shows. One was in like Fenway Park, I believe.
Yeah.
That was got really good numbers. One was in a rehearsal space that got really good numbers as well. Monsters of Rock Cruise, which is in North Hollywood, are doing viral shows. Punk Rock Karaoke just did it. TSOL, the Dickies. Other bands are finding creative ways to play shows. There's drive-through shows that are happening. There's a couple in Ventura that happened successfully. There's a soccer facility, Kevin, you might have heard about, called Silver Lake out in Riverside.
Well, they got the Metallica ones happening this weekend, too.
It's a huge soccer facility called Silver Lake, and the owner is a multi-millionaire, obviously, and he's trying to find ways to build infrastructure to have drive-in shows now, and I'm part of that team as well, of the people trying to build that. We're just trying to find investment capital. So, you know, there are musicians, there's bands that are trying to find ways to creatively play shows until we can get back to live touring, and who knows when that's going to be. And even when it does get back, it's not like a light switch.
Yeah.
And the venue that holds 1,000 is 1,000, and 10,000 is 10,000, or Viper Room will be 250. It's going to start at like a quarter capacity or a third capacity, and then hopefully phase its way up to full, unless, and me and Fat Mike talked about this a few weeks back at his house, unless they find a way to test people at the door like diabetics can test their blood sugar.
I mean, testing like actually testing the nose test or the thermostat test?
The blood test. You walk up, you prick your finger, you look at your screen, and it says, yeah, you're clear, go in, have a good time.
But how financially viable are these shows? That's the whole thing.
That's the problem. They're not.
That's it.
No one has, you know, streaming has turned into financially viable for certain artists, you know. And there's a lot of companies out there that were able to pivot into this space. You know, you look at Sessions, you look at, Topeka Live, Veep, some of the things they're doing. They're able to pivot. And I think, you know, just like everything, we're evolving. When we first did it, it was like playing in a basement, playing in your rehearsal studio, fans supporting the bands that time and that emotional moment. But now it's actually turning into a structural business moment. So people are going to have to think on how they're going to give more value for these streams to keep people coming back.
Yeah.
You know, you can learn it. Melissa Etheridge has done fantastic with her fans. She's been able to do different things each month, engage them in a way so they're part of the process. So if artists continue to do that, because even when we come back, the PTSD from COVID is going to be affecting a large swath of our population. So 15 to 20% in my mind, numbers, it's a percent, but I think 15 to 20% probably are not going back to live shows in a long time, which completely breaks the whole normal economic model of a concert because you make your money on the last 15%.
15%, yeah, exactly.
So, so we've got that going to look forward to. And then in the present, you're doing these drive-in shows and everything, and artists, the whole economic model has to change, so everyone's a partnership. So an artist just can't get a big guarantee to be doing these things. It's going to become more of a partnership, cooperation, and the ones who can do that are probably going to be okay. But if you go back to that old model where people are insisting on certain guarantees and stuff, it's just not going to work for a long time because the venue might be at 50%, but their expenses to open so far for 1 week is 125%. Because now you have all these COVID compliances and you have different things in the cleaning and adding it, I was just hearing a crazy thing, and we're not even on campus at USC. I'm a full-time professor over there. Just for the staff to be going on campus, and the minimal amount that's at the Thornton campus, which is where one of 21 schools at USC, is an extra $500,000 in expense.
That's crazy.
I mean,
per semester.
Yeah, for this first semester. Yeah, because we're only looking. Everyone only wants to look to this semester. Now, it's a very short semester, so, we're already entering our third week of it. We're just seeing what's going on. So, you've got these increased costs. You've got minimum reduced capacities. So it's going to be a little creative. I think, like you said in Drive-In, Vincenzo, who's doing them up at the Drive-In, he's a smart guy, mom and pop operation. He can keep his people working. He doesn't have a huge overhead. He's probably carving out to be able to pay the salaries. It's not really a profit center, but he can pay his salaries and keep some people working. If you have big overhead still, it's not going to work.
And another interesting wrinkle about to expand a little bit on about what Kevin said is he just talked about the 15% that aren't going to go because they're going to have shell shock and they're afraid of what's going on. Then there's another percentage that you may or may not have a chart for, Kevin, probably do, is the percentage of people that don't have the disposable income that they had before COVID. The people that had to dive into their savings to survive, people that had to, sell their house or move home. So when concerts come about, do they have an additional 15, 20, 25, $30 to go to a show times two people? Maybe.
Well, it's all like,
maybe not.
That doom and gloom in that sense. We're definitely talking about it. There'll be certain things that people will go. There'll be a high demand, that 10% of people that are fine. And COVID's weird how it's affected everyone differently when you talk about ethnicities getting it and neighborhood, where it's hitting. But you have to look at the economics of this. There are people prospering that you wouldn't believe and wouldn't think of. Golf, which was a business that was kind of on the rocks. The Tiger phase wore down. They were tearing down. We were losing a golf course a week in America for a while there because they couldn't stay open. They're having their biggest year ever. I talked to the guy over at Golf Galaxy. They're having their biggest year ever. TaylorMade can't make the clubs fast enough. So you start tearing apart.
It's
I didn't
incredible.
know that at all.
I'm at the golf course 4 or 5 times a week right now, and
because it's
I've
socially
never
distanced.
It's a
socially distanced event.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing you can do right now to get out and just be by yourself.
And take your mind off things for a couple hours.
Well, Dick's Sporting Goods sales are up 157%.
That's crazy.
You have to think that. So, but we've got this kind of a whole thing. So we're talking about commercial real estate. You mentioned that. Commercial real estate is going to have to be reinvented. This could be that time when we start addressing our housing crisis in big cities, where a lot of that larger retail space probably won't be coming back. So that will have to be reinvented into housing potentially. So it's just going to be these huge dynamic shifts, and then. You don't even want to go down in the political thing, but just what's going on because of COVID, is good. It's really a time where I tell my students, this will be a world run by 40-year-olds for 20-year-olds.
Yep.
And people, like, if you can adapt and you're older than that a bit, you'll be around to consult. There'll be some role for you. But if you don't, you're outdated. You're done.
Mm-hmm. How are your students taking all this, by the way? Like, has your teaching changed due to the fact that You know, these kids are trying to be in the music industry and trying to do this stuff. So how are you teaching them differently than what it was 6 months ago?
Well, I'm saying a year and a half from now. So
Okay.
we're I'm going. Well, most of my students will be the ones that are graduating next summer are definitely in that little bit of that panic phase. But I try to explain to them, you're in the same phase as everyone, but you're also equal to everyone. Everyone in this business has been knocked off their high horse. There's no one better than anyone. I think the whole industry shifted the power struggle. You know, you being an agent, but it fell to the agents, to be honest. A lot of the agents felt they controlled this whole business.
Absolutely.
And, you know, they were the lifeblood. If Live Nation was going to survive, or AG, or that little independent promoter in Kansas City, Jeff Fortier or someone was going to survive, it's gone now because the artists are taking control. They're starting to take control. They're going to make more decisions. You're also diversifying what you're going to do because you're doing podcasts, you're doing Cameo, you're doing streams. So when we go back, development, the labels now, we're doing great in March. Isn't it weird? Like when we lost
300% I've heard jumps in label sales right now.
But they're facing a crisis, and that's been the great role where I've been able to do is just sit back and listen. But the labels are starting to have a problem because they don't have a way to release records right now. They were thinking that those spring, early summer records would just come out in the fall, late summer, when things went back to normal. So they're getting this stockpile of records that they need to release. You can't sit on them forever. And now they're going to have to look at, okay, how are we going to break these artists with less touring? Because that was always the model. Get them on the road, get them on the road. But even when we go back, there's going to be probably 50% of the actual opportunities since we're losing so many venues.
Well,
I mean, there's definitely different ways of doing it. I talked to Randy Nichols a month ago, and what he did with Under Oath I thought it was amazing. Honestly, I'd give that guy ultimate props in ways of finding, selling a show kind of online.
Well, yeah, Randy's fantastic with that, Darren. You know what he was able to do. He was, but he took it all in house. He took it upon himself.
Yeah.
He was also fighting for his own survival. Maybe I'm a little close to it.
Yeah.
He understood, like, hey, if I want to be in this business, I'm going to have to find opportunities for my bands. Whereas I know a lot of managers just kind of have been sitting back.
Yeah.
They haven't been proactive. Honestly, if I was in a band right now and my manager wasn't out there kicking ass for me every day and scraping around, I'd think about changing managers. because if your manager's just sitting around, maybe decide to take the summer off, while a guy like Randy Nichols dismantled the whole model.
I thought it was amazing.
And rebuilt the model for his artist, I'd be sitting there, I'd be really questioning my manager at this time, It's hard to question your agent because they haven't really, that's what they do is book you shows, and they haven't been able to. But your manager was supposed to get out there and be on that phone with all these companies and fight for it. Yeah. And if you weren't fighting for it from March until we're talking at the end of August here, you're way behind. Yeah. You're way behind.
Yeah, I mean, 6 months without any revenue. The babies they're struggling the worst. Obviously, the big bands are definitely hurting too. But the babies, there's no development. There's no, you were talking about touring. That even if it comes back next year, there's no new tour development. All they're taking is the tours that were confirmed this year and moving the entire package to next year or possibly 2022. And they're not putting babies on. They're just saying.
But I'll put it on you. So all the tours that were confirmed. How are you going to jam him into half as many venues?
That's something that we're definitely having a problem with because I was speaking with a promoter the other day, and 2 of his venues he works with, he's a buyer for multiple venues. 2 of his venues he's working with, they're closing. And he's like, I got 2 new venues that might pop up. I go, might? He goes, yeah, it just depends if this, PPP comes through. I'm like, okay.
So what ends up happening is they're going to come back to you and say, you know what? You've got band A, and they were going to tour with band B, C, and D. Guess what? We could take A and B and combine them with A and B of this tour, but guess C and D's are out of luck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the little ones.
The little ones are going to get cut for sure.
So development, so labels. Like I've been playing golf with the president yesterday of a label, and it's been great. In March, everyone was like, "Great year." Things were setting up. People had money. There was jobs. They're going to shows. They're buying merchandise. Their things. So we're going to have to address that, artist development. And I think some of these online tools and things will be around, and they'll take more of a role in artist development before you actually put them back out. You're able to put them on the road.
On that front, Punk Rock Karaoke, the band I play in, mostly just for fun, when this thing went south, I told the guys, we have to do a video a week. And everyone in punk rock karaoke is a little older. Like, whoa, how much work's involved? Come on. And like, we're going to put out a video a week. We're going to try to get as many high-profile singers, like in high-profile bands, to sing these videos. So last week was Frank Turner. But to stay relevant every week, not every month. I mean, I see bands that are ice cold right now. I can't name any off the top of my head, but content release. You have to put out videos of you playing an acoustic guitar, videos. Like what Punk Rock Karaoke are doing with the Brady Bunch, with the panels. Just content. Stay in people's faces. Stay on the radar. Because when this, and then the Monsters of Rock Cruise stream we did was great. Stay in people's faces. If you're a baby band, because punk rock karaoke are under the baby bands. We're just like a fun thing we do. We play around and we sing punk rock songs.
But still bigger than a lot of bands.
Correct. And people give us money. Yeah. But stay out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. Don't ever be out of sight. Don't ever be out of mind. Keep putting out content. So when the dust does somewhat settle, and venues are somewhat opening up, you can call that agent like you or the club owner or Kevin and go, hey, we've been putting out these videos. We're getting this many hits. We're relevant. We're not ice cold. We're not thawed out from the freezer. Can we get a show? And then that person's going to look at what you did over the last several months and go, oh, they have been staying active. They're in people's faces. They're getting decent numbers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll give you that show. Versus the band that's ice cold and says, hey, things are back to normal. Can we have a show? So, well, what have you done?
I totally agree with you. Is having the base of we've been working. We just haven't been in front of anybody other than releasing YouTube videos or releasing blips or even TikTok or whatever it may be. Which TikTok is a crazy topic we could go over, but just the fact that if you see somebody staying busy, there's a lot of our artists that we keep pushing along. Like, you guys got to do something. You got to generate a merch line. You got to generate videos. Whatever you're doing, get out of the house. Huh?
That's the whole point of being a band, anyways. When you got into this, when we all got into this, when you started playing drums, I started playing guitar. To get into this industry at this start, you have to go out and do stuff.
Yep.
You can't just sit around. And this is actually the blessing of this time. Is that we all should be sitting around trying to think, okay, cool, let's make some music. Let's go out, do a video. You should not be going out to bars. You should not be going out doing things with other people. You should take this time right now, focus on it, create some shit.
Yeah, bands that are keeping busy are going to be the bands that are probably going to get the look first.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you should be able to come out of this
Falling
with
in
12
Reverse
albums.
or Etheridge. Like Falling in Reverse did that video thing recently. That was great. There's bands that are doing stuff online that's really cool.
Yeah.
Are they making money? Maybe a little virtual tip jar here or there, but they're staying in people's eyes and ears and brains.
I'm interested to see how this Hawthorne Heights thing plays out. I don't know if you guys saw it, how they're launching 2 shows a day in 2 different cities online.
That's cool.
The virtual tour. Yeah, I've seen that in comedy now. Some people announcing that kind of virtual tour idea. It's one of those things where it's also one of those things you could try anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nothing's expected to work right now, so anything you can try anything, and when it works, you've found something. And I think even Randy, even though he had faith in what he was doing, way over achieved in his own mind what it did. What he did was, but he just knuckled down, because I remember very early conversation with him when COVID hit that he was right from the tip on. I better get something going here. Like, we've got to get something going here, and he did. And it wasn't overnight. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think that it happened in early August or July. It was probably July. So it took him still April, May, June, at least 3.5 months to get this together. So if you are someone that's not started getting anything together in a proper way, now there's tools that have accelerated these things, but you're still looking at a couple months out to really put anything great together. And, we're going to be into 2021 before we know it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Thank God.
I mean, next week is, 2 days from now, September. Like,
that's crazy.
I thought we were stuck in, May for 3 years. So.
No, this year sucks so bad. I mean, everyone's dying. Famous people, like Chadwick, the actor.
Yeah, that was bad
Bossman,
yesterday. So
and everyone's just. This year sucks. It really does. It's going to go down in history as like one of the worst years for the globe.
I'm pretty sure.
Not just the
I mean,
US.
it's a bad year. It's definitely bad. But the years that they had, the Spanish flu were pretty bad too. So I mean,
or 2930, the depression was pretty bad.
20% of the planet died. So
that was a bad year too.
Yeah, but they didn't have dashboards. You looked at your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it was like back then, it was a very regional. You know, it was something that was going on around the world, but you knew your city. Now we see it every day, and we see. And unfortunately, we've just turned these kind of things into numbers. You know, where I think probably with the Spanish flu, it was so, even though it was on a global scale, it was really impactful to your community. Here, you know, we might be becoming immune to these numbers. You know, you turn on the TV and they just have a clicker almost in the corner there. These are real people that are affecting every person that's passing away. They say is affecting somewhere between 10 and 15 other people. That they have relatives and they have people. So, you know, if you really, you know, start to look at this and whatever the number is now, about 180,000 people, I mean, we're taking 2 million people, 1.8 to 2 million people, you know, directly, emotionally, physically, or the person who passed away has. So we're really starting to some deep scars, deep scars, because if you can't say goodbye to someone. That's the thing, there's always a closure with death, and I think people suffer when someone drives out of their driveway and is hit by a car. That there's that traumatic thing. But even with an elderly grandparent, a lot of times there's this chance to grandmother, grandfather, you get this say goodbye and kind of come to peace with it. People haven't been able to come to peace with it, and it's tough. I have a lot of friends who lost a lot of people on the East Coast, and their lives have changed forever because you want to be able to, I don't know. It's just you got those things, but I think as it has made us more aware. I feel that there's a huge activism going to be coming out of the colleges, universities, schools, streets. We talk about Black Lives Matter. But you feel this subtle. Maybe they're not out marching on the streets, but they're engaging. And, I'm working on a lot of political campaigns, and you just see it, like you get 10 kids involved on campus, and the next thing you know, you have 100 signed up. So they're taking the initiative to recruit their friends and get those people involved. The idea that I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't count. I think people are it does count in the overall big picture of what's going on out there. We're having this movement within our industry right now. Mariah, I don't know if you from Live Nation in Denver, is organizing a group because crew people that tour in music industry and crew are notoriously people who don't vote. Mm-hmm. They live a transient lifestyle. They're not, it's not going to affect me. Because I live in my little bubble. I get on my tour bus. Someone gives me a continental breakfast in the morning. They give me a towel. I work all day. They give me a towel and a slice of pizza, and I get on my bus. The rest of the world. That's why we get on the tour. It's an escapism of real life. And I heard that a lot from people. But I think that excuse. So seeing that all the production companies, the promoters, road managers are reaching out to their crew to help them realize that voting. We're not just voting on a president. We're voting on local issues. We're voting on regional issues. We're voting on citywide issues. That even though you might be in a tour bus, 8 months a year, you need to have your voice heard. And I think we're going to see that. So everyone, it's cool because there's so many organizations. And as long as they don't go into competition with each other, that's the biggest talk. Don't go into competition. We're all ultimately for the same reason. We're all want the process of voting to be here. Like it's a great right that we get to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, it's key.
My mom is one of the most patriotic people in the world. She's a USA all the way.
Yeah.
Puts the flag out every morning, salutes it, and loves America, loves the troops.
And she raised you.
She's never she successfully. She never voted, and I'm like, I found out a couple years back this fact, and I go, Mom, you got to vote. She's like, oh, it doesn't really matter. I go, you're the most patriotic person ever. And this NBA thing that me and Kevin were talking about, he's involved in that a little bit, and where the owners are trying to use the arenas for voting places in these cities, which is huge. It's a gigantic plus. I read one report on ESPN that a lot of these guys, like LeBron and Kevin, what's his name, Kevin Durant, and other guys are trying to get their teammates signed up. A lot of them aren't signed up, registered to vote.
Correct.
They're like, oh, I'm just an NBA player. I live in a bubble. I travel around. I play basketball. It doesn't really affect me. I'm a millionaire anyway. Like, well, yeah, you should vote. And it's a fever pitch that's getting more attention. And it's not vote and vote against Trump. It's just vote.
Yeah.
Just get out there and exercise your right as an
to
American to vote. Now, you can look at the political landscape and go, wow, that guy is this or that girl's that. But I think we all kind of have the same view of the world. But the more people that vote, the better for the future of not only the U.S. but
the world.
I mean, it's it was the day Trump was elected. I said I'm not worried about Trump. I'm worried about the 3% of the people on each side that would be empowered, and we're absolutely seeing this now. When you see that there's this agitation going on in the communities, it's you don't know when someone is someone going in and posing as Antifa to stir up hatred and fear. And reverse, do we have people going the reverse way, the 3%? Because I said 94% of people, and when you guys have all toured, 94% of the people you've come across somewhere on the road, whether Flying J or a under Tent 1, if you were ever on Warped Tour, all those people that would gather, come from different points of view, but 94% of us could walk away finding common ground. Now, we may not agree on certain issue, and those issues sometimes may gravitate to, abortion or some of these really the ones that have always been a hot topic kind of things. But we're usually going to find a lot of common ground, that we have a lot in interest. And I'm pretty sure, that most people that just want to be able to live their life, they'd like to have a better environment. Yeah. They'd like their kids to become educated. They'd like to go to work. They'd love to have a job. And they'd like to be able to go. But which is very scary, and that's where the internet's come into play so much, this breeding ground of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That people, the last thing people want to be in anything in life is fearful.
Yeah.
Fearful, when you go on stage, why we don't let people bring bottles into a venue. You don't want to go on stage fearful you're going to get hit with a glass bottle. Yeah. Just little things of fear that go through life. And that's where we're going in life, where everyone is fearful. And that's when society becomes a very, very scary place.
But we're also afraid of things we don't understand. I think that's really important, is that a lot of things that we see in social media now are things that, we're sitting there being fed all this stuff.
Well, the media is definitely not helping either. I mean, they're definitely pushing their agenda for whatever it may be, whichever news network it is. It's their agenda.
I've had this argument with people for probably 10 years. And when I was growing up and living in Europe, I lived in Europe 23 years of my life. And I come back here, and the one major reason why I would never move back here was the healthcare system. That was it. I can go out there. It's not free. Don't let anybody pretend it's free, but I wouldn't move back here because of that one major issue. I fell off of a stage when I was 20 years old. I tore out my knee, and then I was like, okay, how am I going to get this fixed? If I'm not working, if I'm not tour managing, I'm not making money. There's all sorts of, hold on.
Go ahead.
Camera's on.
Yeah.
And then I came back here and I was like, okay, cool. How can, everybody tells me the American healthcare system, it's the best in the world. So I called my dad and I said, hey, can you add me to your healthcare plan? He's like, yeah, it's going to cost you $50,000 to $60,000 just because you have a pre-existing condition, if they will even let you do it. Then the operation, that's another $250,000. Or in the UK, I could wait 2 months and it's free. It's paid for under national health. And I'm talking to people over here now, and I'm sitting there going, well, it's not free, but at the same time, we contribute 2.2% of our income to enable us to have an NHS service.
Nothing is free except the Warped Tour. You can jump the fence. It was really easy.
Trust me, and half the people I run into in the society go, oh yeah, man, I had so much fun going to the Warped Tour. We snuck in.
Why would you tell me that?
I've actually had kids go, yeah, you actually were the one who caught me, and you go, that's cool. You figured out how to go in. Go have fun.
That's punk.
Love it. So sitting here now, I'm going, maybe I should have gotten $10 off of it.
Yeah.
Put it in
Should
the
have spent a couple more
retirement
bucks
fund.
on gating.
Put it on the thing. But we go down this thing, and we can't fix. That's the problem. You start thinking about everything, and all we can do is try to fix our society in the best way we can. And we've seen that within our industry. A merchandiser on Warped Tour, Frank, created. When this issue started, of course, I've been on the board of Music Cares, and they started a fund to try to help people, and everyone went to that. And then Live Nation kind of came up with their fund, which was very great of them, but it serviced a certain group of crew people. But then grassroots things are really cool. And when Frank started For the Nomads, it was, he called me and he goes, Kevin, I know you guys do all this charity stuff. And I said, well, forming a 501(c)(3) is tough.
Frank Zuma?
No,
Frank Finelli.
Finelli, yeah.
Oh, okay.
A merch person, on Warped Tour, and he's been a road manager. But he goes, and Tater, who was one of our interns on Warped Tour, those two got together and said, we need to help our crews. And they called me because they know what we've tried to do through touring and everything I've ever done. And I said, well, I can, give you some help with an umbrella of our foundation, just things if you need it. And you know what? They just dug in and did it. And I think if the number that I've last heard is that they've been able to do small little grants for touring crew people for about $300,000.
Yeah, and they're doing the silent auctions.
cool.
They're getting bands that just donate
Yeah,
stuff.
I cleaned
They
up.
don't care about, but it can raise super.
Yeah,
It's
amounts of
been
money.
great. So.
I had skate decks that were laying in the back room that were signed decks that went for $350, $400. Now,
Wow.
I could sit there and maybe they'd bring those decks out if I go down the dementia route, and I can't remember what I did in life, and they'll bring me and show me a skateboard with signatures and go, do you remember you used to do this kind of thing? Not to make light of it, but I guess that's what that stuff could be good for at some point, because it's just there, and you ship it off to someone, and right now that could be an emotional thing for someone. Goes, man, I'm having a tough time, but I remember going to that tour or that event, and you know what, just that little memory of that. I have some money, it'll help those crew people that that did that. So that's tackling an issue on a local level, just doing what we need to do, and we need to see that more. And I think we're going to see this kind of grassroots kind of, you've seen it through food drives. The guys who do the surf rodeo up in Ventura are local up there, and they just said, wait a second, we have people that are hungry. Let's start a food distribution in our parking lot every Saturday. Well, that grew. They got some grants. They got some donations. They're throwing away 4,000 pounds of food, or 4 tons of food.
That's crazy. 4
tons of food a day down at the farmer's market right now because they can't get it out to the restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
So they start sending a truck down, and you know what? Every weekend they distribute food boxes. And then if you have the resources, you just go out and, I would just buy macaroni and beans and pasta and just rice and bring it up there and blend it in with all these vegetables that they were given from the community. And all right, 200 people, they come by and grab a box, grab a bag of stuff. There's hunger in this country. There's more than enough food. We just have to figure out how to get it distributed.
Yeah.
There's like 1 billion pounds of potatoes sitting and rotting up in Idaho right now that they can't use. Because why? Because no one's ordering French fries because they're not going out.
Yeah.
Because how rarely do you cook a French fry at home?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I've ever done it.
Yeah. But
Tater tots, not French fries.
No,
Tater tots.
They go in the oven.
Yeah.
So they're frozen. They sit in there for 3 years. You're like,
So we are seeing probably people recognize that, the power social media gives you can be negative, but also it could be very positive to get your message out. And as long as that we're allowed to get positive messages out and it just doesn't become such a tidal weight of negative, you can do good. And artists and crew, it's amazing the networks that people that aren't even on stage, aren't even stars, have built up through all this life of touring. And that's been also a thing for all of us. I think we have a global understanding from being there. We've all toured in other countries. We've all toured there. So we know America was a great place, because if you've been in other places, you come back here. In many ways, this is a great place. But there's so many, the people that are, they haven't expanded their horizons, and they're fearful of these places that we've all toured to. And you realize these places are great. Going to South America, many people have been to Africa, places you never would, this industry, like, traveling, you would have never been able to, one, probably afford to do it, and two, it's allowed us to do it. So when we come home, we have to let our voices be known that this is a pretty damn good country. We have problems to fix? Absolutely. Can we tackle them? Probably not all at once, but incrementally we can tackle them.
Yeah.
So.
Once we get our economy up and running again, it'll probably ramp up pretty quickly.
According to the politicians, our economy is at its all-time high right now. Yeah. So, but they're reading the stock market. I know. They're reading the stock market, not the economy.
Well, if we get our economy back up and running, then we can work on the problems. Because before the pandemic, the economy was chugging along and doing great. By the way, that fire was lit before 2016. Okay, do your math. It goes way back. But if we get that, then we can start worrying about the healthcare issue, which you mentioned, Adam. We can start talking about maybe gun control or gun reform, actually, because people are going to lose their minds if you try to take away their guns.
You could fix the Second Amendment with one word. What is that word?
Outdated?
The right to maybe bear arms?
No. The right to bear arms responsibly.
But then who defines responsible?
That's
a tough one.
We have to come up.
It's a big word.
You should be able to, like, if you're going to get a gun, you should be saying, yeah, check my background. I'm fine. I'm safe to have a gun. Do a background check. Basic things. A 10-day waiting period before you can have that gun.
No sales at gun shows.
No the gun show loopholes.
The gun show. So if you talk to 90% of the people that actually own a gun, and I talk to a lot of people that own a gun, they'd be like, I'd wait 10 days to get it.
I waited 10 days.
You wait 10 days? California's got some of those things. Are you willing to make sure that at least there's some basic parameters that you're getting this gun in a background check? We're not going to go 5 decades back.
It's a start.
It's a start. And that's the start. And you talk to and trust me, I have lots of friends in the South who have guns and live and die. And they're like, yeah, and I'm a gun owner, not myself, but, they're gun owners. And they go, yeah, you know what? I have a rifle. I go out and hunt. Anyone I know that does it so, but no one needs a high-powered magazine.
Yeah.
No one needs an automatic weapon in their closet.
You don't need an Uzi.
But how crazy it's been, that this fear that since March, you drive by Turner's or you'd go I went out to Bass Pro Shop because I like fishing. Yeah. And I come walking up, and they're like, are you here for guns? I'm like, no, I'm here for fishing stuff. And they go, oh, you may go right in, sir. Yeah. Or if not, and I go, well, what's that? And they go, oh, they're all there for guns. And
it's the ammunition line. It's crazy. Up by us, too. It's amazing.
Typical Lyman fashion, I look at them and I go, I bet you all end up shooting your loved one or each other before you shoot the invaders. Yeah. And now that's the thing. They're going after this whole, the loss of the suburbs. I live in a suburb. I don't see marauders coming down the street, But guess what? When that went out on social media during the first marches that were going on, friends of ours and my wife started going, what are you doing? What are you going to do? Because they're coming for the suburbs.
Yeah. What are they going to? They're coming to march down the street. They're not robbing your house.
And I had some good friends.
You.
And
they're just saying Black Lives Matter or whatever it is. They're not going to loot your house for that.
And I wouldn't. Right. I won't say their name on it because you'd know exactly who she was. But she's been someone that works with me. She sent it right away. Because she got that sent to her. Through algorithms, it was the right person to send it to. She thought for sure they were coming to Malibu to rob her home. Yeah. I'm like, so I don't know how we got down that path. But but one thing we will have to all appeal is there's going to be an economic desperation out there.
Yeah, of course. We haven't even seen it yet.
The economic desperation is going to be, people are just hungry. People just need to be food. I was talking to my daughter, who you all know, and she's got an idea because she says we need to address some of our
gamers are dying.
we need to address a little bit, just basics things like keeping the electric on of friends of ours or people that need that. With that being said, I don't think everyone's going to be running around it takes a lot to become a home invader.
Yeah.
You have to have a mindset to become someone that invades someone's home.
Yeah.
It's not like all of a sudden, come on, kids, we're going to go over and tie people up and beat them and steal all their stuff. But you know what? hey, guess what? We need to pay a bill. Let's walk down the street and see if anyone left their car unlocked.
Yeah.
I could speak from experience. Nice neighborhood I live in. A few weeks ago, I forgot to lock my van. Someone walked in, grabbed a paddleboard.
Yeah.
They
Really?
They
In
probably
that neighborhood?
The day after he came out from Sacramento.
Yeah.
No
he
way.
got robbed.
But you know what?
Kevin, I borrowed. I'll give it back.
No, but it's an inflatable.
Really nice.
I'm sure they were stealing the backpack. That was it. They didn't even know it wasn't. But I look at it and go, yeah, that's dumb me. Dumb me. Don't leave any right now. If I was super hungry and my kids were not getting food, and I help out, I give
You'd
the
do
guy
anything.
I would go grab. Would I walk in your house and tie you up, Adam, and put it in? No,
No.
not.
He'd enjoy that actually.
But
Adam.
but I would potentially
Fridays.
go to. So you know what? Lock your cars. Take your shit out. Add a camera to your house. Whatever you do, just to feel that comfort. But to grab a bunch of weapons, because if you've not trained in how to handle a weapon, the better chance that if that ever did happen, someone's going to take the gun from you and shoot you with your own gun. Or you know what? You're going to get pissed off at your loved one, because we see that there's 35% more divorces going on, and right now due to COVID. You know what? And rage and anger come up with a lot of divorces. And someone has a loaded gun, they're going to shoot you with your own, the gun within your family.
Yeah.
So
And alcohol is a necessary. It didn't stop. Alcohol sales went way, way up.
Yeah.
So when you fuel that with alcohol,
Interesting fact about alcohol. Did you know that
it's awesome. Yes,
but there's an aluminum shortage now.
Really?
Yeah, because people aren't going to the bars, so they're not buying tap beer. They're all buying the cans. So there's an aluminum shortage to make cans so people can drink.
Well, great. Then maybe we should start
Interesting.
recycling those cans, because you know what? We'd ship all our recyclable product over to China that won't take it anymore.
All the plastic
And now,
came back. Yeah.
and now we got it. Now we need to kind of start taking care of our own garbage in so many ways. That's like a literal way. It's America. It's America's problem to take care of its own garbage at this point, And like you said, when the economy comes back, but that economy can come back in so many better ways. We can have clean energy. We have proven that it works. We can build our own ways to recycle our own garbage and trash. Think about how far backwards COVID set us in the whole recycling world, just that we were in. Everything's given to you in a plastic bag. You can't, now you can start bringing
Amazon.
that first month and a half. Now, I don't know. I hope Bezos is true to the fact that he says he's going to become a green company by 2026. He has the money to do it.
He's the only one that's got the money to do it. And also, if you think about it, like I use Amazon every day. I do. We're all going e-commerce. And if I order 10 different things on Amazon, I get 10 different boxes.
Yeah.
And then a box inside of a box inside of a box. And my recycling unit doesn't. I can't. It's full, and then they don't. Then they won't take it.
Well, I'll give you a tip. Okay, it's the only relevant day during COVID. What day is that?
Tuesday for me.
That's trash day, right?
Yeah.
You know what what the other relevant day? Is the day before trash day. And you know what falls in between? Other people's trash day. When you take all your extra trash and put it in people's cans that aren't full. So that's what you do during COVID.
I've done it. I've done that. What he just said.
Oh yeah.
Well, we put it in a recycling can last night down the
1 o'clock in the morning, quietly.
That's what we did.
my neighbor's thing.
That's called the activity. Like the night before, like there's nothing to do it in the evenings. You're watching Netflix. It's great. Everyone's watching. We're on our I don't know Will and or what's her name, Frankie and Grace. Some show. Oh wow. It's been on for 6 years and we haven't watched it. We're now on season 4. Then we're gonna have to figure out something else to do. Thank God the Dodgers came back and it's offered it to us all because I've never watched so much baseball in my entire life right now.
Yeah.
But we can come back. So our industry will come back. It will be different. We are a microcosm of society as a whole. Yeah. So everyone should be looking at how their own businesses are going to be coming back in this new world we're going to live in.
Yeah.
Which is an opportunity for a lot of, like Kevin talked about, knuckling down and finding an idea and just implementing it and just freaking doing it.
Yeah.
Do that. Find a way. I got a few ideas I'm kicking around in my head that I'm not telling any of you jerks because I know you all steal it.
Yeah. Everybody listening will take it too, and then 50
I know, it's
people
in
will
my
have
head.
it.
It's proprietary. But think of things and try it. And a lot of these ideas you can do for either low dough or free. Because they're good-natured, and they're always going to be someone somewhere that's going to go, oh, you're helping people eat? Here's a bunch of food. Are you helping someone with their electric or utilities? Here's some tools and some resources, or here's some money. And then next thing you know, it does grow exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just think of ideas and say F it and do it.
Absolutely. On that note, I think it was a good week. It was nice to have you guys on.
We had no airplanes or helicopters during the podcast.
There was a little bit, but there's a wind. Just so
The
everybody
wind,
knows.
but I'm talking about airplanes.
Everybody that's listening on...
and that's really strange. Think about how many less
I know.
planes are going through the air, because to live in Southern California and not have jets going over your house all day long.
Oh, it's crazy.
I live in the flight path of Burbank.
I'm in the flight path of Santa Monica Airport.
Yeah. So God, April.
Yeah.
It was silent.
Yeah,
It's
the only one that hasn't gone down is Van Nuys, because of all the rich MFs that are flying off to their vacations.
I know.
I think the dog.
we need those rich MFs for this guy.
I think the Dodgers use that airport, Kevin. I think that's
They do a lot of do a lot of the there.
Someone told me that's the airport they use to go out to.
Yeah, but they fly out over the ocean.
I don't know why it's Van Nuys. It's weird.
Van Nuys goes out. The flight path goes out
Well,
directly.
Van Nuys is very. It's got a very flexible takeoff schedule, so you don't have to sit in a giant, get log exactly what time you're going to leave. They're much more flexible on. Okay, we're going to leave within this hour.
Yeah.
When the day before, you can tell.
Get off the car, get in the plane, take off.
You can sit there for a few hours.
I like it. Well, cool. Well, thanks everybody. Remember, give us a follow on all the media outlets, and
check out the Dangerous Darren Show podcast.
Yes,
Kevin's been on a number of times.
Plug away. Kevin, you got anything you want to plug?
Just check out iVoted.com, iVotedConcerts.com. We're going to be throwing the largest online music event the day of the elections. iVotedConcerts.com, where it looks like we're going to have anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 artists performing, and the celebration to vote. That only 29% of the young people went out and voted during the last election, but 69% of them went to a concert. So we're trying to bring that all together,
Wow.
Yeah.
So during that year, so we're just trying to bring that together. It's a fantastic thing. It's going to be a wild, let's say a wild few months in America.
Awesome. I love it.
Get the popcorn and strap in.
I love it. Well, thanks, guys.
Or in Adam's
Thank you
case,
very much.
or in Adam's case, strap on.
Oh yeah. My
Sorry,
Thursday
buddy.
nights.
Sorry.
Thanks
had to
again,
get
guys.
that one in there.
Yeah, that's what she said.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Right, take care.
That was great.